Hey y'all, Broken here. I know why you clicked on this video, so I'm not gonna waste your time with a long drawn out intro. You wanna know what happens after the prison school anime. Well, this video is actually part 2. I said if the previous video did well enough, I would cover the rest of the manga, and you guys blew my expectations out the water, so I'm here to cover the rest of the manga. So for full context, I suggest going back and watching the previous video, link in the description down below. But for those that don't want to watch the previous video, or for those that need a quick refresher, let me give you a quick recap of what I covered in that previous video. But for the people that don't need a recap, or for those that just want to get to new content, skip to this time on screen. The boys are set free and the underground student council is sent to the school's prison. The real student council are the ones that are going to be in charge of the prison. The council consists of Mitsuko, Frieza, and Kate, the president, who seems to hate the members of the underground student council. Kate ends up getting Andre and Gakuto to become guards. Kate ends up tricking Vice President Mako into burning down a tree that possibly has baby crows in it. And no, the birds aren't in the tree, they just wanted to trick the vice president. Kate is not that evil. But because she believes she hurt the birds, the vice president ends up breaking and ends up reverting back into her old timid self. And because she breaks, Andre ends up breaking. This is really important for later on. Kiyoshi tries to get evidence to prove that the real student council manipulated and tricked the underground student council, but ends up getting caught. He is then thrown back into prison alongside the other girls. Kate ends up getting a video of Kiyoshi and the president doing something together when taken out of context seems pretty bad. Like the video she got of Kiyoshi and the president has Kate looking like this. So now Kate has a blackmail video of President Mari. Kate uses the video to force President Mari into a wager. If the real student council is able to beat the underground student council during the sports festival, then the underground student council has to dissolve. But if the underground student council wins, then the real student council will have to dissolve. President Mari accepts the wager. This and that happens, and President Mari is able to get a blackmail video of Kate, so now they can fight on equal footing during the sports festival. So that brings us to where we left off in the previous video, with the sports festival just about to get started. That little summary I just did skipped over a lot of content. So again, for full context, I suggest watching that previous video. But for those that are ready, let's go ahead and hop into what would have happened if the anime would have gotten a season 3. Hey, editor Broken here. Just like the last video, YouTube doesn't seem to like this video very much for some reason, so I'm gonna do whatever I can to please YouTube. So expect to see some weird edits and this image here. Today is the day. The sports festival is now starting. As you guys know, President Mari accepted the wager that whoever lost at the sports festival would have to disband their council. To be more specific, whoever loses the Cavalry battle will have to disband their council. The Cavalry battle being the last activity of the sports festival. Wait, if the Cavalry battle is the last activity of the sports festival, then how do the boys plan on getting the wet t-shirt contest to happen? Something I should have mentioned in the recap is that the only reason why the boys are helping the underground student council is because the real student council removed the wet t-shirt contest from the sports festival schedule. And they want to add it back, but I don't think they've told the underground student council that's the reward they want for helping. Anyway, the Cavalry battle requires 4 people, but the underground student council only has 3 members. Kiyoshi volunteers to be their 4th member, but they aren't sure if they're allowed to have a boy on their team. This is when Kate shows up and she's like, sure you can, because we got Andre. Yep, they broke Andre even more. Now he kind of looks like a Tauntaun from Star Wars. The boys figure that the only way they're going to be able to take down Andre is to help the underground student council during the Cavalry battle, but they need a 4th member to participate in the Cavalry battle. Since they have time to kill, Kiyoshi heads to the restroom only to run into Hana, who still wants to see his lemonade and she wants to pour her lemonade on him. I can't believe she's still on about this. And Kiyoshi can't believe it either, so he's like, okay, come on, get on in here, let's get this over with. But the restroom doesn't seem like the most private place to do their business, so they end up going to Kiyoshi's room to do their business. Then Hana makes things even weirder by suggesting that they do their business in a very unique way. Unfortunately, I can't really go into detail on how. For some reason, Chiyo goes looking for Kiyoshi. She ends up going to the boys' dorm room to look for him. She has no clue that Kiyoshi and Hana are hiding underneath the futons. Chiyo starts folding up the futons. She's like, I can't just leave the room messy. Right when she's about to find them, Gakuto shows up to grab something. Meanwhile, while all of this is going down, the chairman is on his own adventure where he's lost his memory and is trying to make his way back back to the school. The chairman has basically been non-existent for a while now, so I guess this is the author's way of bringing him back into the story. Gakuto ends up finding what he was looking for, so Chiyo and Gakuto end up leaving the room before they can find Kiyoshi and Hana hiding underneath the futon. Kiyoshi is overjoyed that they weren't found out. He's so overjoyed that he doesn't realize that Hana spilled her lemonade on him. To be more specific, she did what he did to her back in episode 2 of the anime. Kiyoshi starts to break down. He yells out, "Is this what you wanted? Are you satisfied? How am I supposed to go on living after this?" Hana then turns around and gives him a kiss. They then go meet up with the others, and Hana is easily able to act like nothing happened. So far, season 3 isn't really hitting for me. What went down between Kiyoshi and Hana was okay material. I'm glad we finally took a step forward on that situation. The whole subplot with the other boys trying to find a fourth person was just really dumb and stupid. So dumb in fact that I skipped over all the content related to it. It wasn't worth wasting y'all's time to talk about it. So hopefully with the sports festival officially getting started, things get better from here. Kiyoshi is still feeling down about what went down between him and Hana. But after chatting with Gakuto, he realizes that Gakuto has it way worse, which makes him feel better. So anyway, they all end up gathering to strategize on the best way to beat Andre because he is a monster. But before they start the meeting, the president properly thanks the boys for helping her escape prison. She follows that up by asking why did they decide to help her. They say they believe that things would be a lot more fun with the underground student council in charge rather than the real student council. That answer actually touches Mari's heart. But of course, what the boys are referring to is the wet t-shirt contest. They still haven't told her that's the reward they want. So they start the strategy meeting, and Gakuto says the best thing they can do is try to get the vice president back to normal now that Andre doesn't recognize the vice president at all. So the boys get the vice president to reenact the things she did to them to try and jog her memory, but nothing is working. Well, that's until Shingo shoves the president a little too hard. That seemed to awaken the old vice president, but only for a few seconds. Later, Kiyoshi and Hana realize that they accidentally switched undergarments when they were underneath the futon. They meet up and Hana's like, "Look, there's no time for us to change. Let's not make things weird and just deal with this for now. This is going to be very important later on." So Hana goes to participate in an obstacle course race against Riza. This race has nothing to do with the wager. It's just friendly competition. Remember, only the Cavalry battle counts when it comes to dissolving the council. So it kind of feels pointless, so I'm going to be skipping over like the next 10 chapters. Let's just say that Hana wins by a hair. Side note, this is what the president wears as casual clothes. So we cut back to the others still trying to figure out how to turn the vice president back to normal. They're still not sure what the trigger was. They then figure out that root beer seems to be the trigger. But again, she only turns back to normal for a few seconds after drinking it. This is when we get a sweet moment from Chiyo when she thanks Gakuto. She never thought her sister would be getting along with a group of boys. Get along is kind of a stretch. It's more like put up with. The enemy of my enemy is my friend is the situation that's happening here. Chiyo and Kiyoshi end up getting some alone time together. And right when it seems like she's about to confess her feelings, Kiyoshi stops her. He asks her to let him be a man and say those words after the sports festival. Those words being, "I like you, let's go out." But in reality, she wasn't trying to confess to him, she was trying to bring up her non-existent surprise birthday party. For context, go watch the previous video. We cut back to the president, who has poured out the remaining root beer for some reason. She figured out that it's not particularly root beer that does the trick, but the carbonation, so any soda will work. They are now feeling pretty confident and start to gloat to the real student council. But then Joe has a premonition that they are going to lose. Meanwhile, we cut back to the chairman, who's still having his amnesia adventure. So far, this sports festival arc still isn't hitting for me. It's such a step down from the previous arcs. I'm still holding on to hope that things get better from here. But from what I've heard, I shouldn't have my hopes up. They hooked the vice president up to some kind of soda device, and now it's time to go to war. And it's going to be an uphill battle. Not a lot of people want to fight on the side of the underground student council. I mean, the only reason why the boys are is because they want that wet t-shirt contest. Before they can take on the real student council directly, they're going to have to fight their way through an army of girls. They end up finding out that the vice president is only back in looks alone. She doesn't have any of her ferocious power. So Kiyoshi is forced to pull out his secret weapon, his manhood, and the girls start falling like flies. But then something so embarrassing ends up happening that time stops and he ends up having a out-of-body experience. Well, he's not really having an out-of-body experience. He's dead.
What?
He's a ghost now, and in death, he ends up telling Chiyo how he truly feels about her. The angels have come to take him away to the other side, but I guess hearing Chiyo call him a hero brings him back to life. This is when he says out loud that he loves Hana.
Huh?
But then he says he loves the president too.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
In fact, he loves everything. He's just happy to be alive. Now they have a direct path to the Real Student Council's team. It's time for the real battle to begin. The problem now is Andre is too big, they can't reach his headband. So the new plan is to make Andre or Riza mad, and then Andre will accidentally throw the Real Student Council off his back. They figure out the best way to get Riza to lose control of Andre isn't to insult her, but to shower her with compliments. For example, they start saying stuff like her and Andre would make a cute couple. Joe then decides to use his black magic attack and starts chanting "kiss him." The other girls at the academy start to join in. Right when Riza is about to kiss him, Kate is able to turn the tables. President Mari ends up snapping at the vice president for not listening. The shock from getting yelled at ends up unaliving her, and now the angels have come to take her soul away. Kiyoshi is the only person who can see the angels, but he can't do anything to stop them. It's hopeless. While dead, she goes down memory lane. After seeing a certain memory, she ends up coming back from, and now she truly is back to normal. Andre starts to break. He doesn't know who to listen to. While Andre is shut down, the vice president is able to climb Andre with the others on her to get to the top of Andre. Right when they're about to take Kate's headband and win the Cavalry game, Kate decides she's going to unleash her ultimate weapon and removes Misuko's hair clips. She doesn't even know what's going to happen next. Also, the chairman has his memory back and is back to normal. He's in a helicopter and is going to do a surprise skydive to celebrate the sports festival. What you are seeing now is what he imagines is going to happen. He hasn't actually hopped out the helicopter yet. Cutting back to Misuko, what actually happens when her hair is let down? Well, if you remember, she's a bit of a klutz and has bad luck. So when her hair is let down, the ultimate stroke of bad luck happens. The last time she let her hair down, all the air conditioning units in town broke. It was the summertime and things got pretty miserable because of that. This time, her bad luck ends up having something hit the helicopter. It's now on a crash course with Andre and a bunch of other students. No one cares about the competition anymore. They just want to get out of this alive. While this is all going down, Gakuto is able to send a plastic bottle rocket at the helicopter, changing its course. And no, he didn't do that on purpose. That was accidental. So instead of crashing into Andre and possibly injuring and/or bunch of people, the helicopter ends up crashing into the school's prison, which destroys it. And yes, the chairman and the pilot escaped with their lives. We get a quick flashback and find out the first inmate of that prison was the chairman. Of course, because of the chaos, the match is declared a draw and both councils get to go on existing. So that would have been the end of season 3, and it felt like such a downgrade. Of course, it had its hilarious moments and concepts like Andre being this huge hulking monster, but I didn't like the sports festival being the main stage of season 3. Well, the sports festival as a setting is fine, it just lasted way too long, or rather too many moments were stretched out. For example, the cavalry battle part of the arc lasted from chapter 202 to 240, so almost 40 chapters. That's way too stretched out. A lot of the time, I found myself just skimming through the manga rather than actually reading it. I was like, man, can we just move on to the next story beat? Also, I don't like some of the things that the boys do during this arc. For example, what Joe and Shingo did at the end of this arc. I can't even explain what they did without getting in trouble. Again, this arc does have good moments, but it's just a huge step down. But that's enough of me complaining. I'm curious how the rest of this manga is gonna play out. With the sports festival over, how is Kiyoshi going to confess his feelings to Chiyo? I know Hana isn't gonna make it easy. I wonder what's gonna happen between the Underground Student Council and the Real Student Council. Are they cool cool with each other now? Are they going to be able to coexist? We roughly have half a season worth of content left, so around 40 chapters. So let's see how the rest of this manga plays out. Before we hop back into the main video, I just wanted to ask you guys, if you're enjoying the video, to please like and subscribe. It lets me know to continue making videos like this. It's been 1 week since everything went down. Shingo, Joe, and Kiyoshi are all hated even more by the girls at the school. Kiyoshi because of his manhood situation, and Joe and Shingo because of the stunt they pulled during the chaos. Joe and Shingo regret what they did, but now they are dealing with the consequences. They understand that they reap what they sow. Kiyoshi doesn't care about the hate. The only opinion he cares about is Chiyo's. The underground student council, well, mainly Hana, said she would help clear up things with Chiyo, help explain the situation. On the other side of things, Gakuto and Andre are praised and loved by all the girls. Gakuto being the hero who changed the course of the helicopter crash, and Andre for putting up a pretty good fight during the sports festival. Gakuto and Andre try to sit with the other boys, but they just end up getting up. Gakuto and Andre have achieved the goal. The girls like them. If they hang out with the other boys, it will only get the girls to hate them once again. We cut to Chiyo, who is giving Hana a note to give to Kiyoshi. She rips up the note a bit, but she still ends up giving it to Kiyoshi. When Kiyoshi puts the note back together, it says that Chiyo wants him to unalive himself. Obviously, that's not what Chiyo wrote, but Kiyoshi is dumb and is heartbroken by this message. Since it seems like that even Chiyo hates him now, he thinks that unaliving himself doesn't sound like such a bad idea.
Whoa, calm down, Jamal.
Things just got dark like really fast. Joe and Shingo realize that it's probably not a good idea to leave Kiyoshi alone right now, so they go to find him. But they are too late. Luckily, his attempt fails. This is when Chiyo walks in and comforts him. She sees the ripped up note on the ground and puts it back together to reveal that she said that she wants to go to the Star Festival with him. Of course, this revelation cheers up Kiyoshi, and now he's back to normal. Now that Kiyoshi's feeling better, he wants to throw a big party to celebrate his and the Underground Student Council's release from prison. Also, he wants to confess to Chiyo at this party, but it's gonna cost him some money. Cutting to Gakuto, again, he's been pretty popular with the ladies. He ends up letting his desires take over, and in the process, ends up breaking Misuko's heart. Meanwhile, it seems like Andre's and the vice president's relationship is back to normal. She's been using him as a weight and has been slamming him into the ground, which of course upsets Riza. Hana makes Kiyoshi go shopping with her, and she actually ends up helping Kiyoshi with his plans to confess to Chiyo. Kiyoshi then decides to ask out of nowhere, why did Hana kiss him during the futon incident? I completely forgot that she did that. She said she did it just to calm him down, but in reality, she doesn't even know why she did it herself. But that was a good enough answer for Kiyoshi. On their way home, they start reflecting on their day and how they actually had fun hanging out with each other. This is when Hana asks if he wants to go out with her. Kiyoshi thinks about it for a second, and he's like, yeah, sure, if Chiyo turns me down, then I'll be happy to go out with you. Chiyo and Hana end up having a heart-to-heart moment. Meanwhile, it doesn't seem like Mitsuko hates Gakuto as much as she was leading on. Now Gakuto has two girls fighting for his love, but Gakuto ends up screwing things up and loses both girls. No one has seen the underground student president Mari for a while now, but suddenly she appears in front of Kate and tells Kate that she's dropping out of school. We cut back to Hana and Chiyo hanging out, and Chiyo accidentally lets it slip that she's in love with Kiyoshi. While that's going on, Andre ends up breaking Riza's heart. So now the day has finally come. The day that Kiyoshi has planned to confess to Chiyo. The party is going to be an outdoors barbecue. He's reserved a venue and everything. Kiyoshi and the vice president learn that President Mari isn't going to be showing up to the party because she's dropping out to school. They call her and find out that she's going to be studying abroad, becoming an exchange student. But for some reason, she didn't tell anybody, not even the vice president. Also, quick side note, the chairman is in jail. The vice president and Kate rush to the airport to try and catch Mari. While all this is going down, Riza and Andre become a couple, I think. The others are making their way to the party by floating down the river on this plastic bottle thing. Kiyoshi ran into some trouble, so he's running late getting to the party. Chiyo ends up being the first person to arrive at the venue, and she's curious where everyone else is at. Hana is the next person to arrive, and this is where things get good. Hana ends up telling Chiyo that Kiyoshi plans on confessing his feelings to her. Hana goes on to say that Chiyo should reject him because he's a super freak. Chiyo's like, okay. And is that it? She already knows that Kiyoshi is a bit weird. Hana then hits her with, could you use in front of him? Chiyo's like, so he's into that kind of thing? Hana says, yeah, could you really go out with a guy like that? Hana is lying through her teeth right now. Kiyoshi never wanted to do anything weird, but Hana would always just keep forcing the subject. Chiyo says she couldn't do that right away, but after a while of dating, she could see herself giving it a try. Chiyo is an angel. Hana is slowly starting to lose it. Hana pulls out her next trick and tells Chiyo that her and Kiyoshi have kissed. Chiyo is then able to use her critical thinking skills and it's like Kiyoshi isn't the type of guy to go around kissing people by force. So you must have took the lead and kissed him. Hana doesn't deny it that she's the one who took the lead and kissed Kiyoshi. So Hana pulls out her trump card and that is that she's still wearing Kiyoshi's boxers. Remember when they accidentally switched undergarments? Yeah, she still has those stained pair of boxers. I can't imagine what it was like reading this manga week to week at this point in the manga. This whole Hana trying to stop Chiyo situation is just so hype. Like, I am fully invested in the story. Also, at this point in the manga, I'm not really sure if people knew that the manga was coming to an end. I know that people knew that the arc was coming to an end, but I'm not sure people knew that the manga was coming to an end. We have less than 10 chapters left, so let's see how the rest of this manga plays out. This is when Kiyoshi shows up and he has no clue what's going on. Of course, Kiyoshi wants to stop Hana's nonsense, but Chiyo says she wants to hear Hana out. Kiyoshi's like, okay, fine, let's tell Chiyo everything. Chiyo is pretty chill up until the futon story. You know, when Hana and Kiyoshi were hiding underneath the futon. Hana is surprised at how honest and straightforward Kiyoshi is being about everything. He hasn't told a single lie yet. He explains that after the sports festival, he wanted to unalive himself, but Chiyo saved him. This is when he confesses that he's in love with Chiyo and asks her out. Right when Chiyo is about to give her answer, Hana interrupts. Chiyo then chimes in and says she has one question that needs to be answered. Did he throw away Hana's undergarments? He admits that he still has them, that they're back in his dorm room in the drawer. Kiyoshi starts to break down and tells Chiyo that she deserves better than him. But despite everything she's heard, Chiyo says that she still likes Kiyoshi. So Kiyoshi does his best to ask Chiyo out properly and she accepts. The end. I'm just kidding, people don't consider this to be the worst manga ending of all time for no reason. Kiyoshi is utterly shocked that Chiyo accepted his confession. We cut to the vice president and Kate, who are both crying because they weren't able to make it to Mari in time. We cut to the boys and the other girls having a good time sailing down the river. We then cut to Andre and Riza enjoying their time together. We then cut to Mari on the plane thinking about what life would be like if the boys never came to the school. After everything that went down, she still thinks that men are garbage, but she had fun. If the manga had ended right here, people would have been mad and had their complaints, but it would have been a far better ending than the ending that I'm about to explain. Surprisingly, Hana is pretty chill. She accepts that she lost and actually goes to congratulate the new happy couple. Suddenly, she snaps. She throws Kiyoshi's back in his face and says that she wants her undergarments right now. But her unmentionables are back in Kiyoshi's dorm room, right? Hana says the reason why she's wearing Kiyoshi's boxers today is because they made her feel at ease. They gave her strength to tell Chiyo about everything that's happened between her and Kiyoshi. So Hana thinks that Kiyoshi is wearing her undergarments right now for the same reason, that her undergarments make him feel at ease. So Hana goes after Kiyoshi's pants and is able to prove that yes, he is wearing her right now. He then ends up pouring his lemonade everywhere because he's had to go for the longest time now. This breaks Chiyo and she ends up becoming the next underground student president who hates men. The end.
Are you kidding me? Is this how it ends? What? No!
So did Prison School really have one of the worst manga endings of all time? Yes. Yes, it did. There are a laundry list of things that are wrong. Chiyo was best girl, and to see her become the next president that hates men really hurts. I can see Hana still wearing his boxers, but I don't see Kiyoshi still wearing her. For example, during the sports festival, he was extremely nervous about people finding out that he was wearing Hana's. So it makes no sense now for him to be wearing them. President Mari just up and leaving to study abroad is just super random. The whole plastic bottle rocket storyline was always stupid to me and should have been dropped before the student festival arc. You know how I talked about the pacing being really bad during the sports festival? Well, during the last 15 chapters or so, it got really bad again. The only real good thing about the ending is Riza and Andre ending up together. I could keep going, but that's enough. There are theories out there on why the ending of Prison School was just so bad. bad. The theory goes that at the beginning of the sports festival, the author was working on his other manga, Me and the Devil Blues. During the sports festival is when the quality started going down. People believe it's because he was putting so much focus on his other manga. The higher-ups at the company noticed the dip in quality of Prison School once they allowed the author to work on 2 manga at the same time. So they decided to put Me and the Devil Blues on hiatus and have the author focus on the more popular manga, Prison School. This made the author resent Prison School. So he rushed it and made a terrible ending as a big middle finger to the publisher and to fans who made Prison School too popular. And that's probably why his next manga, Raw Hero, was in a completely different magazine. Again, this is all just a theory, but it makes a lot of sense the more you think about it. We do get a 8-page epilogue, but it's just a big troll. Seems like the boys got thrown back into prison and now they're on their way to the wet t-shirt contest. But that makes like no sense because the prison got destroyed. So aside from the terrible pacing and that horrific ending, I enjoyed my time with Prison School. So what anime that never got another season should I cover next? Please leave your comments down below. My next video might be on the author of Prison School's next manga, and it's called Raw Hero. Call it a morbid curiosity because I heard the ending to this is also pretty bad. So if you guys liked this video, like the video, and if you like me, subscribe to me. And as always, this has been Broken, and I'll catch y'all next time.